The world stood still as the President of Earth addressed the assembly. His voice, steady and resolute, echoed through the Grand Hall of the Galactic Federation, where countless alien dignitaries observed in silence. This was a momentous occasion, a turning point in intergalactic diplomacy. Earth, a relatively young member of the Federation, was on the verge of securing a groundbreaking peace treaty with several powerful alien civilizations. The President, a figure who had earned respect through wisdom and tenacity, embodied the hope of billions. He spoke of unity, of shared values that transcended species, of the possibilities that awaited when differences were set aside in favor of a collective future. His words resonated with the core of human ideals, and many aliens found themselves nodding in agreement, impressed by the passion of this human leader. But that's when it happened. A flash of light, a pulse from an alien weapon, precise and deadly. The room erupted into chaos, screams and shouts filling the air as security forces scrambled to react. The President, once a symbol of strength and stability, fell to the floor, lifeless. His eyes, once full of purpose, were now empty. Humanity's leader had been assassinated. Panic spread like wildfire, but amid the turmoil, the human delegation stood in stunned silence. Their president, their hope for a brighter future, was gone. His body lay still, a reminder of the fragility of life, even for those who seemed invincible. Back on Earth, the news hit like a bombshell. Crowds gathered in disbelief, huddled around screens, watching the footage replay over and over. The grief was immediate and overwhelming. He wasn't just a politician, he was a symbol of unity, of the best that humanity could be. People wept openly in the streets. Flags were lowered, and a dark cloud hung over every city. But grief quickly turned into something else. A deeper, more visceral emotion gripped the people: anger. Humanity had been wronged, and they knew it. Whoever had orchestrated this assassination had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. This was no mere political maneuver, this was an attack on Earth itself. The outrage spread like a virus, infecting every corner of society. The world, once so full of hope, now seethed with righteous fury. In the highest offices of Earth's government, leaders convened. The decision was unanimous. There would be no diplomacy this time, no negotiations. Justice would be swift and absolute. Whoever had dared to kill their president would face the full might of humanity's wrath. Earth's military forces were mobilized within hours. Fleets that had been in reserve for decades were suddenly ready for battle, their weapons systems primed. And then, a message. It came from a species known only to a few, an empire that operated on the fringes of the galaxy, far from the laws of the Federation. Their message was chilling. Your president's death was necessary for the survival of the galaxy. Do not interfere. This was no rogue act. This was planned, deliberate. The aliens had assassinated Earth's president because they feared humanity's growing influence. But instead of sowing fear, they had ignited a fire that would consume them. The Earth government's response was clear. You killed our president! That statement echoed not just in political halls but across every continent, every nation. It wasn't just a call to war, it was a declaration that humanity would not be cowed, that they would avenge this atrocity, no matter the cost. In a briefing room deep within the Earth Defense Command, top generals and admirals gathered. On the screen in front of them was a map of the alien empire responsible for the attack. The decision had already been made. Retaliation was inevitable. The question now was how to strike back, how to send a message so clear that no species would ever dare harm a human leader again. Plans were drawn. A strike force would be sent to the heart of the alien empire. It wouldn't be an all-out assault. Humanity had no intention of wiping them out, not yet. This would be a surgical strike, aimed at the ones directly responsible. There would be no mercy, no negotiation. This was about justice, plain and simple. As the meeting concluded, a sense of grim determination filled the room. They knew this was more than just a military mission. This was humanity's moment to prove, once again, that they would not be underestimated. They would show the galaxy that when you strike at a human, humanity strikes back harder. The fleets were prepared. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon was at the ready. But this was not a rush to vengeance. Humanity had learned from its past. This would be precise, calculated. The aliens had made the first move, but now, it was humanity's turn. The leaders addressed the world one last time before the strike. There were no grand speeches, no calls for glory, just a promise. A promise that those responsible would pay, and that Earth would rise from this tragedy stronger than ever before. And so, the ships departed, cutting through the vastness of space, moving swiftly toward the alien empire. On board, the soldiers remained silent, each one reflecting on the mission ahead. They weren't just fighting for their president. They were fighting for the honor of humanity itself. As Earth awaited news of the strike, there was a palpable tension in the air. They had been wronged, and they were about to unleash their response. This was not the time for weakness, for hesitation. Humanity was ready. The countdown had begun. The strike force moved silently through space, cutting through the void with precision. Each ship in the fleet was a testament to human ingenuity, sleek and deadly, equipped with the most advanced technology Earth had ever developed. They weren't going to engage in a full-scale war, not yet. This was about making a point, about reminding the galaxy that humanity would not be treated as a lesser species. Inside the lead ship, the atmosphere was tense but focused. Every soldier knew their role, every officer understood the stakes. They had trained for moments like this their entire lives, but now, everything felt different. This wasn't just another mission. They weren't fighting for territory or resources. They were fighting for justice, for the memory of their fallen leader. Humanity had planned this operation meticulously. The alien empire responsible for the assassination was vast, but not invulnerable. Their arrogance, the same arrogance that led them to believe they could kill Earth's president without consequence, would be their downfall. Intelligence had pinpointed a key target, the leaders of the empire responsible for ordering the hit. They were hiding, of course, tucked away in a heavily fortified system far from the prying eyes of the Galactic Federation. But humans had eyes everywhere. The strategy was clear: hit fast, hit hard, and get out. It wasn't about wiping out the alien species or starting a protracted war. It was about sending a message that no one, no matter how powerful, could attack Earth and escape retribution. The fleet moved into position just outside the alien system, using advanced stealth technology to avoid detection. Human ships were smaller, faster, and more maneuverable than the bulky war machines used by the alien empire. It was a tactical advantage that the alien leaders had not accounted for. As the fleet drew closer to the target, a quiet intensity spread among the crew. There was no room for mistakes. Every detail had been planned down to the second. The strike would be swift, and if all went according to plan, the alien leaders would never see it coming. In the command center, the mission leader, one of Earth's most decorated military tacticians, surveyed the screen. The alien stronghold was just ahead. A cluster of ships and defense platforms hovered around the central hub, a fortress world where the alien leadership had holed up. They thought they were safe here, protected by layers of shields and defensive measures. But humanity had brought something they hadn't anticipated: ingenuity. The first phase of the attack commenced without a sound. Human ships deployed drones equipped with specialized hacking equipment designed to disrupt the alien defense grid. The drones, invisible to enemy sensors, latched onto the enemy systems, quietly disabling key defense mechanisms one by one. The alien forces didn't even realize they were under attack until it was too late. Within minutes, the human fleet was inside the alien defense perimeter. Alarms began to blare across the alien stronghold, but by then, it didn't matter. The humans were already there, cutting through their defenses like a knife through paper. The alien leaders, so accustomed to their invulnerability, scrambled to respond, but their reactions were slow, disorganized. They had never faced an enemy like this, an enemy that moved with such precision and cold efficiency. The human strike teams deployed to the surface of the alien stronghold, making their way through corridors and hallways with surgical precision. Every soldier had been briefed on the layout of the facility, every step of the mission planned in excruciating detail. There was no room for improvisation, no room for error. This wasn't about glory, it was about justice. The alien guards, though well trained, were no match for the human strike teams. They fought valiantly but fell quickly. The humans moved with purpose, their focus unshakable. The goal was within reach. The leaders who had ordered the assassination of Earth's president were hiding deep within the stronghold, surrounded by their most loyal forces. But loyalty meant nothing in the face of overwhelming skill and determination. As the strike teams closed in, the alien leaders began to panic. They had underestimated humanity at every turn. They had thought Earth was weak, naive, too young to truly understand the complexities of intergalactic politics. But now, they realized their mistake. The humans weren't just retaliating, they were dismantling the very foundation of their power, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. In the final moments of the operation, the human strike teams breached the central chamber where the alien leaders had gathered. There was no grand battle, no drawn-out confrontation. The leaders were taken down swiftly and efficiently, their reign of arrogance brought to a sudden and decisive end. But humanity didn't stop there. They weren't just there to kill. This wasn't about revenge, it was about setting an example. The surviving alien leaders, those who hadn't been eliminated in the strike, were captured, bound, and prepared for transport. They would face justice, not through bloodshed, but through the very laws they had sought to undermine. They would stand trial before the Galactic Federation, exposed for their treachery and cowardice. As the human forces withdrew, the alien stronghold lay in ruins, their leadership decimated. Word of the strike would spread quickly across the galaxy, and with it, a clear message: humanity was not to be trifled with. They had shown the galaxy that they were capable of more than just survival. They were capable of strategy, of precision, and of exacting justice when wrong. The fleet made its way back to Earth, the mission a complete success. There was no celebration, no victory parades. This wasn't about victory. It was about righting a wrong, about ensuring that no species, no empire, would ever dare to harm humanity again. As the ships approached Earth, the soldiers on board remained silent, reflecting on what had been done. They had delivered justice, not just for their president, but for every human who had ever been underestimated, for every time their species had been seen as lesser. The galaxy had learned a lesson that day, one they would not soon forget. As the alien leaders stood before the human strike team, bound and defeated, there was a moment of silence. The quiet was heavy, filled with the weight of everything that had led up to this point. They had expected swift execution, believing that humans, like so many other species, would resort to vengeance. But the humans didn't kill them. Not yet. Instead, a human officer stepped forward. His expression wasn't one of triumph, but of cold, hard resolve. These aliens had tried to justify the assassination, claiming it was done to maintain balance in the galaxy. They spoke of Earth's growing influence, of humanity's potential threat to the status quo. They called it a necessary evil, a calculated move to prevent something worse. But the humans weren't swayed by their hollow arguments. The officer looked them in the eyes, and without raising his voice, he made it clear that their so-called justification meant nothing. The president's assassination wasn't just a political maneuver, it was an act of cowardice, an attack on peace itself. The alien empire had made their decision, and now they were going to face the consequences of underestimating the human race. Humanity had been forged in adversity for millennia. From the earliest days of history, they had faced every challenge thrown at them: war, famine, disease, and destruction, and had always come out stronger. The assassination of their president was just the latest in a long line of challenges, and as always, humanity had responded with unity and strength. The aliens could never have understood what it meant to be human because they had never faced the kinds of trials humanity had endured. The captured leaders were taken aboard the human ships, but the humans didn't execute them. They weren't going to stoop to that level. Instead, these leaders would face justice in front of the galaxy. They would be put on trial, not as a spectacle of revenge, but as a testament to human values. Earth's response wasn't going to be one of brutality. It was going to be a demonstration of their superiority, not in weaponry, but in character. As the fleet headed back toward Earth, the news of the capture spread across the galaxy. Aliens from all corners of the Galactic Federation were paying attention. Many had doubted Earth's ability to respond to such an attack with anything other than rage. But now, they saw that humanity was something more. They saw a species capable of restraint, of acting with justice rather than revenge. The trial of the alien leaders would be broadcast across the stars, and with it, the entire galaxy would witness the integrity of humanity. Back on Earth, preparations for the trial were underway. The leaders of the Galactic Federation, many of whom had watched in horror as the president was assassinated, were now gathering to oversee the legal proceedings. This wasn't just about Earth anymore, this was about maintaining peace across the galaxy, and humanity was at the forefront of ensuring that peace was preserved. The trial itself was a moment of reckoning, not just for the alien leaders, but for the galaxy as a whole. The humans made their case with precision, detailing the conspiracy that led to the assassination. They exposed the lies, the manipulation, and the greed that had driven the alien empire to murder. The evidence was undeniable, and the alien leaders, once so confident in their superiority, found themselves stripped of their power and standing before the judgment of the entire galaxy. But even in victory, humanity remained resolute in their principles. They didn't demand harsh punishments or seek to humiliate their enemies. Instead, they pushed for justice, true justice. The alien leaders would be held accountable, not just for the assassination, but for every atrocity their empire had committed in the name of preserving their rule. It wasn't just about vengeance for the president's death, it was about showing the galaxy that tyranny, in any form, would not stand. Humanity's actions sent ripples throughout the galaxy. Species that had long suffered under the alien empire's rule now saw an opportunity for change. Revolts and uprisings began to spark across the empire's territories, and for the first time in centuries, those who had been oppressed saw a glimmer of hope. It was a quiet revolution, one sparked not by violence but by the example that humanity had set. The alien empire, once thought to be untouchable, was crumbling from within. Their leaders had been exposed as criminals, their authority undermined by the very trial that was meant to hold them accountable. And in the middle of it all, Earth stood as a beacon of hope, a symbol of what could be achieved when strength was tempered with justice. The galaxy now looked to humanity not just as a rising power, but as a moral leader. The message was clear: humanity would not be bullied, would not be intimidated, but they also would not resort to barbarism. They would fight when necessary, but they would also choose diplomacy, reason, and fairness when possible. They had proven that they were more than capable of holding their own in a galaxy full of ancient powers, and they had done so without sacrificing their core beliefs. In the aftermath of the trial, the alien leaders were imprisoned, their empire left to pick up the pieces of its fractured government. Earth, on the other hand, emerged stronger than ever. The death of the president had been a tragedy, but it had united humanity in ways that few had expected. And now, as the galaxy watched, humanity was poised to take on a new role, one of leadership, one of vision, one that would help shape the future of the entire Galactic Federation. But through it all, humanity never forgot what had been lost. The president, a symbol of peace and hope, had been taken from them. Yet, in his death, he had brought humanity together in a way that no one had foreseen. His legacy would live on, not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. The trial had concluded, but the impact of Earth's actions would be felt for generations to come. Humanity had proven themselves, not just in battle, but in spirit. They had shown the galaxy what it meant to be human. They had faced tragedy with courage, injustice with justice, and adversity with unity. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity's place in it was forever secured. They had earned their place, not through conquest, but through the strength of their convictions. And as the humans returned to Earth, they knew that they had done more than avenge their fallen leader. They had set the course for a future where peace and justice were more than just words. As the galaxy began to digest the aftermath of the trial, humanity's actions reverberated across every corner of space. The alien empire, once thought untouchable, had been brought to its knees by the smallest, youngest of the galactic powers. The leaders of that empire, who had orchestrated the assassination, now sat in a galactic prison awaiting their long sentences, their influence shattered, their names disgraced. But for humanity, this wasn't about celebrating victory. It was about what came next. Earth had emerged not just as a symbol of resilience, but as a beacon of hope for those who had long suffered under the oppressive reign of empires like the one they had just brought to justice. Across the galaxy, oppressed species began to look to humanity as more than just another political power. They saw them as protectors, as a force willing to stand up for what was right, even when it wasn't easy. Revolts continued to stir in alien systems that had once been crushed under the boot of tyranny. The fall of their leaders had sparked something bigger, something the alien empire had never anticipated. Humanity hadn't set out to inspire revolutions. They had only sought justice for their slain president, and yet, the ripple effects of their actions had begun to reshape the political landscape of the galaxy. Other species, who had once feared retaliation from their overlords, now saw that power wasn't absolute. If humanity, with their still developing technology and relatively small military, could stand up to an ancient and mighty empire, then perhaps they, too, could claim their own freedom. But back on Earth, the mood was more reflective than triumphant. The loss of their president still weighed heavily on the minds of every citizen. There was a profound understanding that while the alien leaders had been brought to justice, there was still much work to be done. The galaxy had changed, and humanity was now seen as a key player in that change. The new government, formed in the wake of the president's assassination, understood this responsibility. There were no delusions of grandeur, no dreams of conquest or empire building. Instead, humanity's focus remained on maintaining peace, on building bridges with those who had been inspired by their actions, and ensuring that Earth's ideals, justice, freedom, and cooperation, remained at the forefront of galactic diplomacy. In the halls of the Galactic Federation, the whispers grew louder. Many alien species began approaching Earth's diplomats, seeking new alliances and partnerships. These were not the typical power grabs or political games that often played out in such circles. These were earnest overtures from species that had seen in humanity something they had long thought lost in the galaxy, a commitment to something greater than power. The new human leadership was careful, however. They knew that Earth's sudden rise in influence could draw unwanted attention. Other powerful empires still lurked in the shadows, watching with a mix of curiosity and concern. Humanity's actions had changed the balance of power, and not everyone was pleased. But the humans didn't move recklessly. They engaged in diplomacy with the same level of care and precision they had shown during the strike on the alien empire. Every alliance was measured, every agreement thoughtful. The Galactic Federation itself was changing. The trial had forced many species to re-examine their own roles within the Federation. For years, power had been concentrated in the hands of a few dominant empires, while smaller species had been relegated to the sidelines. Now, with humanity's moral stance fresh in their minds, there was growing pressure for reform. Calls for more equal representation and a more just system echoed through the Federation's chambers. Earth's diplomats, though new to the game, found themselves at the heart of these discussions. Their voice, once dismissed, was now one of the most respected. But with great power came great challenges. As humanity's influence grew, so did the risks. Old enemies of the alien empire, emboldened by the empire's fall, began to rise. New threats emerged, some from the fringes of the galaxy, others from within the Federation itself. Humanity found itself in the difficult position of having to balance its newfound role as a galactic leader with the need to protect its own people. The military, which had proven itself so capable during the strike, was now tasked with a new mission: to safeguard the fragile peace that humanity had helped create. But this wasn't just about deploying fleets and building defenses. Humanity's real strength, as they had demonstrated, lay not in brute force but in strategy, in their ability to outthink their enemies and turn even the most difficult situations to their advantage. Back on Earth, life began to return to something resembling normalcy. The grieving for the president continued, but the sense of unity that had been forged in the wake of his death had not dissipated. If anything, it had grown stronger. The people of Earth knew that they had entered a new era, one where they could no longer afford to see themselves as a small, isolated world on the edge of the galaxy. They were part of something much larger now, and with that came both opportunity and responsibility. Humanity wasn't naive. They knew that the galaxy would continue to test them, that new challenges would arise. But they also knew that they had proven something fundamental, that when pushed, when faced with injustice, they would rise. They had shown that they could fight without losing their way, that they could bring justice without succumbing to cruelty. And most importantly, they had shown that their values, freedom, justice, and unity, were not just words. They were principles worth defending, even on the galactic stage. As Earth's leaders looked toward the future, they saw a galaxy full of uncertainty. But they also saw hope. The alliances they had forged, the respect they had earned, and the changes they had inspired would shape the galaxy for generations to come. Humanity had made its mark, not through conquest or domination, but by standing up for what was right, even when the odds were against them. And so, with their place in the galaxy secured, humanity moved forward, not as conquerors, but as protectors. They had avenged their president, they had brought justice to those who thought themselves above it, and now they stood ready to face whatever came next. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with, not because of their military might, but because of their unwavering commitment to justice and their refusal to back down in the face of tyranny. In the end, it wasn't just about the president's assassination. It was about something far greater, about showing the galaxy that humanity would not be broken, that their spirit, their ideals, and their unity were more powerful than any weapon, more enduring than any empire. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity was ready to lead. And the galaxy, whether it was ready or not, would have to take notice.